It's that time of year again.
Damn it. I really feel like we just celebrated the holidays like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's back again. I don't know if it's because we've been podcasting or because time moves both fast and slow in a pandemic. But yeah, we're here again.
God damn it. Like, I knew that we were here because I'm already seeing like Halloween, decorations out, but I've been seeing them out since like the 4th of July. So I knew that time of year was coming. So yes. Here we are.
Well, and the crazy part is that this is happening with that whole shipping thing that's going on with the what the fuck's it called?
I know what you're talking about, like where the shipping yards, like everything's like on back order. Amazon can't fulfill orders and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I've already put the word out, a beacon, if you will, to my nibblings to basically, you better get your orders into Aunt Missy or like here in the next week, or there's no guarantee.
The stream of commerce and capitalism is in jeopardy this year. And
what are we to do?
Well, nice. Yeah, I actually would like our president as opposed to disliking our last president. But they have people working 24 hours a day right now to make sure that the shipping line consumer capitalism stays alive and well.
Well, it's a good thing that we are kind of revisiting this topic, definitely with a new lens. But one of the things that we talked about in terms of these like tips and tricks for like how do you survive the holidays was all about, we talked about spending, right? That financial, here I am talking about, okay, nibblings, give me your Christmas list, but it can put people in financial constraints. And so I think it's a really great topic to talk about.
Yes, I think that there's a couple of things that are going to be different. And I did go back, and I encourage you guys to go check out our prior episode on this one as well. But we're revisiting this with a different lens. I was episode 17. But how to survive these holidays, right? And one of the things this year is money. Money is a big concern, I think, for a lot of people in the stream of commerce right now. Partly because, hey, how do you do this? What if you were planning, to have your quote unquote normal holiday? Things are just very different again.
Well, because last year, this, I shouldn't say it was like the height of the pandemic, but the vaccine wasn't out yet, so now with the vaccine coming out, people are like, great, like let's start booking travel. So I'm sure people are super excited about Thanksgiving and the holidays. And now it's like, well, okay, maybe, because like meat, for example, is at a premium. And so what do we normally eat for Thanksgiving here in the US? We eat turkey, ham, and all the things, but everything is at a premium. For example, I'm a huge pumpkin girl. I make pumpkin bread, pumpkin cookies. Getting pumpkin puree cans, they're like all out. So like, how does this shift or change like how we experience the holidays? Like, what happens if you had to have Thanksgiving with no turkey? What would happen? What chaos would ensue?
Tofurkey?
Oh, I've had that. That shit tastes like gym shoe. Not that I've ever put a gym shoe in my mouth, but I could just imagine.
Just things that might be similar to a gym shoe?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
you get my drift.
I do.
But I think that I think people were really excited when, people started getting the vaccine, they started traveling again, but now, like, you're right. Now it's shit's on back order.
Yeah. So some things will be similar to how we had life before the pandemic, right? Yes, you will be able to travel. Yes, I'm expecting heavy travel days to be a thing because the airport's getting busier again, right? Like those things, and being in the actual vicinity of your family is probably more likely than not going to happen this year. Because I know last year, like I got COVID. We did not go to Denver for Thanksgiving.
I'm laughing because, last year was a perfect excuse. I know we came up with these like tips for surviving the holidays, and then I ended up not being able to implement any of them because I stayed home. So, I think people like myself that are introverts are like, well, shit, now I don't have an excuse because now there's a vaccine. Like, there's no reason why I can't go and see people. But again, that's just a boundary that I'm always crossing for myself.
Yeah. People are going to be like, why didn't you go get your Fauci ouchie and take care of it. Go get them shots, go get your booster, and come give me a present. Like it's again, my favorite thing, expectations. So I think for this year, the survival, besides the physical survival, is going to involve a couple different elements. And so when we talked about this before, we had each come up with different tips for how to survive the holidays. And I think for me right now, the thing that's coming to mind is minding my spending. I am a solopreneur this Christmas, which means that y'all are definitely getting homemade gifts. Like, I love homemade gifts. I love doing that anyways, but now it's like extra. And I don't know if any of my employees will be getting anything because I'm the employee and Matt's like my volunteer. And so he might get something, probably like a big dessert of some kind. So that is at the forefront of my mind is how do I do this in a way that isn't dependent totally on spending, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Well, I mean, I know not a lot of people have had the opportunity to see your house. I have. I've just been granted that opportunity recently. Y'all, it was amazing. But you have so much, I don't want to say crap because that just sounds negative. Craft, arts and crafts in your house that you literally could do whatever you want. You want to paint someone something, paint it. You want to do a hand turkey for, Thanksgiving, do it. Like, the sky's the limit for you.
I'm not taking away Vince's thunder with that.
Okay, listeners, my husband does hand turkeys for every occasion: Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas.
It's a hand-drawn
turkey with like a Santa hat on, or a hand-drawn turkey with a pot of gold. Like, it's the weirdest shit, but it's also the most sentimental. So I mean, again, if you're coming back to this like financial constraints, it might mean more. I still have the Cydia created a few years ago this beautiful frame, and inside the frame it says squad, and the squad is cut out, and then behind it you can actually see pictures of all of the squad. I still have it up. It's in a display like in the center of my dining room. So, I think the stuff like that is very sentimental, and people value and cherish it more than just something. Because I guarantee you, I bought my niece this beautiful, really super expensive dollhouse. I bet you that's like all crapped out now. Sorry, Jessica, if you're listening to this, but like, tell me I'm wrong, right? So I bet you like the dog has eaten it. I bet you, it's just torn apart. Whereas the beautiful gift you gave me is still on display.
That I made them for all the squad members. And so when I say like I like doing this, it was something that even amongst our book club friends, like that was something that I would do. And it was like, as I got busier with life and with not being able to do things, it became easier to basically outsource and buy shit. And so I got away from making things, but I did get that comment from one of our friends and listeners, Felicia. She's like, "Oh, I miss your homemade gifts," because I would spend a lot of time planning them out. Like those squad portraits, like there's 6 squad members, guys. Like that's a lot of people that I had to like do the squad, stencil cut out. And I don't have a Cricut. Like if I'd had a Cricut, maybe this would have been like a 1-day project. That is. It's an arts and crafts thing. You don't need to know more about it. So it's definitely something where, okay, here's a tip. If you have the same money concerns of mostly I just don't want to go overboard. Like, yeah, I've got money saved up and I could buy the things, but I'd rather use that money for my business, for the podcast. So I'm making a choice, right? And so that's what I want to do with it, which means that, yeah, you know what, family members, you are not getting a trip to Central America this year. It's not happening. Like we are lowering all of these things down, and we are keeping it lower because I'd rather have more meaningful experiences with all of the people in my life rather than just like buying people's love. I'm not doing that anymore.
Speaking of meaningful connection or engagement, so if you've been following us, which I really hope that you have, you'll notice in the first several episodes, Cydia and I talk about daddy issues. We've hinted on it, we've touched upon it, we've healed from it. So my father and I have been in talks of like, hey, Mel, let's get together. First of all, don't ever call me Mel. That's reserved for my father.
What, Mel?
Oh my God, I swear to God, I'll reach over this table. So But he and I have talked about doing something for Thanksgiving. Have I booked my flight yet? No. So I'm a little nervous, but coming back to things that we shared last time, I talked about basically reevaluating traditions. So growing up, I had traditions with my father that obviously changed when we got estranged. It changed when you get older. I have a family of my own. So, this will be, it's kind of exciting and kind of a little anxiety driven. It's like, okay, so if I fly out there, he and I are basically going to be creating new traditions. And we get to establish what those are. So I'm excited and a little anxiety riddled about it, but I'm looking forward to it.
I love the new traditions because part of what happened last year with me getting the Rona is we came up with a new tradition, and I will have to share this recipe with you guys because it was amazing. Stuffing muffins.
Oh, no, they remember. I feel like you went last time we talked about this because you brought it up in a previous episode. You literally talked about it for like 15 minutes.
Oh my God. These stuffing muffins, like, I don't know what we were doing with our lives before this, to be honest. I mean, Thanksgiving will never be the same because we will have stuffing muffins from Thanksgiving through probably mid-January at least.
I mean, the fact that you brought them up, I mean, people are like, man, I remember her talking about it. It's back, y'all. Stuffing muffins are back.
It's a new tradition. It's a new tradition that we're very excited about at our house.
But another thing you touched on that we mentioned in the previous one was like the planning ahead, right? Because I know that sometimes things happen at last minute, and if you don't feel prepared, I remember sometimes I just would feel like I didn't, not that I needed an escape route, but it's like, okay, if I'm wanting to feel safe and establish these boundaries, I think we talked about like renting a car, getting a hotel room, all of that requires planning ahead. But even just coming back to this commerce stock load, whatever, backload, whatever you call it, you gotta have to plan ahead. Like, there's a reason why I'm texting my sisters 3 months before Christmas being like, what do your kids want? So again, if you're trying to just plan ahead people.
Yes.
Because I think this is going to be a shit show. I think getting food's going to be a shit show. I think getting gifts is going to be a shit show. I'm calling it here first.
I agree. And I do think that because of that, things are going to require a little bit more planning and making sure that you are doing things that you want to be doing and not necessarily doing them just because they're expected of you, like showing up for all of these things. Because the other thing that we have is, I don't know if you've noticed, but gasoline's really expensive. And there are lines and lines at the gas stations. Like, these
are there?
Yes. Like,
my father asked me the other day, he's like, hey Mel, what is the gas price out in Nevada? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, what do you mean you don't know? And I was like, I literally work from home. The only time I ever use my car is to drive the 3 miles to the gym. I don't know how much gas is. I fill up once a month. So I'm going to take your word on it, Cydia, that gas is expensive.
Yes. Gas is very expensive. And the cheap places that you can get it, like your, club memberships, Sam's Club and Costco, have these giant lines that are just going all the way out of their parking lot area. Like, it's insane. I've never seen anything like it. And so it's like, okay, well, this is a concern as well. So you've got all of these other things that are going on in the economy that are going to impact the holidays. So just things to consider, like, maybe you don't need to drive, down to whatever places your family's at. But if you do, do it with care and caution. So part of what you were saying with traveling to see your dad, right? Like, that's one of my other tips, was limit your time. You're already going to have that bookend. You already know, hey, I'm going to have this amount of time with my dad, and hoping and wishing for nothing but good things to happen during that time experience. I had last year, I'd say fairly pleasant experience with my family for the holidays. This year's very different. Like, it's already has the seeds of difference. Is that right? I don't even know if I would say that. It is definitely a different vibe. And the vibe is, I like my dad and my mom's super jealous. So that's what we're working with this year, which means I'm definitely limiting my time as much as I can, along with my other tip, which is I would do anyways, which is not drink around them or consume any other substances, because I, again, want to make sure I always have my faculties around family, because I just can't let loose like I can with you guys, with the squad, with my friends. Like I can even go to a bar event and have a couple cocktails and feel like myself a bit more rather than, oh, I have to be here and I have to perform or not say certain things.
Well, and that comes back to something that we shared last time, which was that, really devoting or carving out me time. So if I do go to my father's house, then, I don't spend a lot of time with him. So I know he's going to want to maximize his time with me, but I also know that I need time to recharge. So making sure that even though, yes, I'm excited to see you, and yes, we're at a different point in our relationship, and we're building something new together, I still need to make sure that my boundaries are very clear and they're very defined, and that I do me for me, So that is something that I will definitely be working on. And it's hard because as a people pleaser, I want to give my dad, the attention that he wants, but I also gotta give myself a little TLC.
And I think that that's so important when you're dealing with these kinds of situations, right? Like being around your family is an energy, either recharge or drain, or maybe it's a combination of the two with whether or not you're an introvert or an extrovert. And so really minding yourself and what are your needs? What does Melissa need right now? You know what? Melissa needs a break. Melissa needs to get a glass of water, whatever that is. And I think that part of that self-compassion is knowing that you don't stop doing for yourself just because you're around family. You still need to do it there. In fact, it might be something you need to do even more so, because if there's family dynamics or, you grew up in a traumatic, I would say toxic household is what I had for sure. I know I have to take care of myself in these different ways and making sure that, I'm not feeling pressured to do certain things. And part of that is showing my love with overspending. I'm not doing it.
I think one thing that's kind of surfacing for me as I'm listening to you talk, and it's actually something that we did when we went to She Podcast, which is setting the intention. So shortly after we landed in Scottsdale, Arizona for the conference, we sat down and we set our intention for the conference. Why not do that for these family get-togethers? Set the intention. What do I want that intention to look like with my father for Thanksgiving? When Christmas rolls around, and I'm flying out to California to spend time with my siblings and their children, their offspring, their spawn. Like, what do I want that intention? And they might be similar. There might be some overlap, but they're also going to be exceptionally different because they're different people. And, again, what we've talked about in previous episodes is like these family roles. I am a different person around my father than I am around, my sister Jessica or my sister Heather or my brother Megan. So, I think being mindful of that and just setting those clear, specific intention and, revisiting that intention from time to time. Am I still living into it? And it's okay if that intention changes too. But I think it should be your decision whether it changes, not because of maybe circumstances change. Maybe you're like, I can't stay in this house. I need to go and get a hotel, whatever it is. I think coming back in maybe like a daily affirmation, not only like do you do your daily affirmation, maybe you also just kind of briefly touch or revisit this intention you've set for yourself for this trip.
I think that's a great idea. Just knowing, hey, there's something I'm going back to. And it's when you set this intention, you're doing it in a space of clarity, right? In a space where you've carved it out for yourself to really think about it. It isn't just, hey, set an intention right now, like as you're knocking on the door. Take some time. Maybe it's on the drive. Maybe it's on the airplane. At some point, making it a point to take that time for yourself. And even though I'm saying take your time to do that, I am going to ask Melissa, what is your intention if this trip pans out the way you want it to?
It's something I'd have to think about. I'm not a good person to be put on the spot, but like, no, I'll definitely think about it. Cause again, I have like 2 weeks to think about it. But I found that when we did it, and I do this for my work in appreciative inquiry, I spend it for every engagement, every client that I'm working with. If I'm working with a co-facilitator, we sit down and what is our intention independently and what is our intention together. And so I find that really helps. And I feel I get the most out of that engagement or that interaction. So that really helped with the conference. And I imagine that doing this independently might be good, but I could see myself having that conversation with my dad. Like, what would you like to see out of this time together? What would make you happiest? And I bet you it's just sitting down and engaging with me. But again, I won't know that unless we're asking that of each other. And if we can come and develop maybe a shared intention, like, let's build more meaningful connection, then okay, great, Dad. Like, how do we create more moments where we're having these meaningful connections, either during my time here or, afterwards. So I think that can kind of also lead into, these type of engagements that I want with my dad, that type of connection.
And I appreciate that. I just feel like you are so ahead of the game.
Oh, for
with
sure.
Talking with your dad and having that I know for sure, like for me, maybe I could have that conversation with my dad now. I'm not having that conversation with my mother.
Oh, no.
I've shifted to, mommy issues.
That's season 2, y'all. No, but I think that just starting with the intention for yourself. And that's why I said, I think I could have this conversation with my father, but more importantly, should be having this type of conversation with yourself, to your listeners, just setting that intention. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be like, by the time that I leave, my mother and I will be best friends. Be realistic.
Well, I think there's another partnership here that you need to consider. Like, I could have this conversation with Matt. Like, hey, how do you want to be this holiday season? Like, I don't want to go to a bunch of events, or maybe I do, or maybe we don't want to go to that other thing. One of the things that I know happens in my household, and certainly happens in many households, is you get a little fluffy in wintertime. And so,
what?
Yeah, I know, just a little fluffiness, things that happen. And I definitely get a little fluffy around my birthday as well, because all of the delicious free things that, every single business wants to send me. So that could be an intention, though, of how do we want to be during this holiday season? Like, you don't actually get a timeout, like none of this counts, like holiday cookie calories don't count. Like, it's actually not true. It's not true.
I really like that. I mean, yes, I think, again, if you do set intentions, at least with yourself, but I do like inviting other people in that you do feel comfortable with. And yes, if you could do it with your partner, your spouse, significant other, whatever, I think that's great. I never even thought about inviting Vince to the conversation. Sorry, honey. But that would be great, because what if there are certain engagements he absolutely loathes? And if we don't, create that space where we can share about what we would like to achieve, or maybe things that we could maybe, weed out, then I think that would be really great. Because then it creates a joyous experience for the both of us for the holiday season.
Exactly. You're on the same page. This is our intention. This is how we're going to support one another. And it's somebody that you can have. And if you are not in a relationship or partnership, talk about it with your friends. Like, how do you want these holidays to be this year? A la talking about it with Sid and Mel.
Oh my, I swear to God. Wash your mouth out.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Do not call me Sid. I have a few people who call me Sid, just like Melissa's got a few people who call her Mel. But that's not happening.
Okay, but ask me if I consider them friends.
So I think the holidays are going to be something good. Like, there's usually something joyous that comes out of it, and hopefully something memorable. I'm certainly excited about these holidays, as we will be welcoming a new family member to our little family. I got a little niece on the way, and my brother, who's having the baby, is super excited to be a father. So I know it'll be very memorable for him, and hopefully we'll be able to meet this new child in 2022. So I know there's going to be some joyous stuff. I also know that there's going to be some bittersweet stuff because of the growth and other things that are happening. But more than anything, I'm just open to letting it be what needs to be. Because I think even just thinking about surviving the holidays, like, no, you know what? I want to thrive year round. I don't want to just survive this time period.
So you're not surviving the holidays, thriving through the holidays.
Thriving through the holidays, yeah.
That's it for this episode. Find us on Instagram at Pivotal Moments HQ for all the behind the scenes and the sister-like banter you know and love. We want to thank our producer and music director, Ron Johnson. This has been an Astronomicus DMR and Pugs production.